Hello everyone, are you ready for another anime recap? Then subscribe right now to this Anime Plots YouTube channel and watch this full video. Did you subscribe? Okay, let's start the video.
There's a fun training session montage as the students try to make their quirks stronger, but in the evening when they're taking a break with a, quote, fun activity in the woods, the new recruits of the League of Villains arrive and make their move. The heroes fight to protect the students while Deku races to find Koda, who is all alone. Unfortunately, the villain Muscular appears, who was the villain that just so happened to have killed Koda's parents. Talk about coincidence. Deku saves Koda for the time being, but is getting outmatched by Muscular and his ridiculously strong quirk. However, at the very end, Deku is able to tap deep within himself to launch One For All at 1,000,000% and defeat the villain, causing Koda to recognize Deku as his hero. With the help of Mandalay's telepathy quirk, Deku relays Aizawa's message to the students, giving them permission to fight back because it appears they are the real targets of the villain's attack. Tetsu and Kendo go to attack the center of the poisonous gas that had previously knocked out so many of the students at the beginning. Together with Tetsu, they're able to defeat Mr. Edgy Cyberpunk. Elsewhere, it's decidedly not revelry in the dark as Dark Shadow goes wild, without any light to control him. But Deku and Shoji bait him into the path of Bakugo and Todoroki, where they can use their quirks to subdue him. But not before destroying the Death Row Teeth Guy. They try to escort Bakugo to safety as he is the main target for the villains, and run into Ochako and Tsu facing off a good old psychotic Toga. She gets a good amount of blood from Ochako before fleeing. The crew then suddenly realize that Bakugo and Tokoyami are gone, captured by the villain Mr. Compress. Elsewhere, Momo and a Class 1B guy is able to attach a tracking device to a Nomu, while Tsu yeets Deku, Shoto, and Shoji after Ochako made them weightless. They land on Mr. Compress, but also right in front of the other villains. After a brief scuffle, it's Naval Laser to the rescue, freeing up the captured students. Tokoyami is saved, but unfortunately Bakugo is taken by Dabi as the villains portal away. Everyone is pretty shook. The abduction, a bunch of injuries for students and teachers, and just the fact the villains found their location. The next day, the media is criticizing UA for another breach, while President Mike declares there must be a traitor lurking among them. Meanwhile, All Might and the police seem to have located the League of Villains' hideout, thanks to detective work by a cat and Momo's tracking device. In the hospital, Kirishima and Shoto say they want to go and save Bakugo. They reach an agreement to not actually fight the villains, but covertly rescue Bakugo. And Ida is tagging along to make sure of this. They get some fun and fancy disguises as the pro heroes assemble themselves. They split up to infiltrate both the warehouse where the Nomus are being kept, which is also where Deku's crew is, and the bar where Bakugo is being kept. The villains' attempt to win him over are going as well as you would expect. Hooray for stubbornness. Then it's the hero's time to strike as All Might smashes through a wall. Get wrecked, Spinner. Kamui Woods binds up everyone in his lacquered chain prison, Gran Torino prevents Dabi from escaping, and Edgeshot renders Kurogiri unconscious. Things are going well. In the warehouse, Mount Lady stomps a freaking truck through the building, Best Jeanist wraps up several Nomus, and Tiger recovers one of the Pussycats, Ragdoll. Things are going really well. And yeah, you know what that means. Suddenly Nomus start warping in while Bakugo warps out, but this ain't Kurogiri's doing. It's chaos on the streets, and back in the warehouse, a man casually approaches, saying that he took Ragdoll's quirk, which lets you observe and monitor up to 100 people at a time, including their location and weak points. That's not good. Best Jeanist acts to quickly restrain him, but an absurdly quick explosion blows the entire warehouse up. He also proceeds to warp all the villains, including Bakugo, to him. As they're talking, suddenly, All Might swoops in and the two clash. All For One sends All Might back and then force activates Kurogiri's quirk, while the rest of the villains try to recapture Bakugo. Deku then concocts a plan. They use Kirishima's hardening to break through the wall, Deku's and Ida's quirks to thrust forward, and Todoroki's ice to launch them in the air. Bakugo sees them and blasts away towards his escape in some gorgeous animation. All For One forces Shigaraki to retreat through Kurogiri's portal, along with the rest of the villains, while he stays behind. Shigaraki does not want to leave his master, but is still sent through, setting the stage for All Might versus All For One. Despite a ferocious left punch, All For One is still condescendingly talking back to All Might, who seems to be at his limit. The fight continues, and All Might's weaker form is finally revealed to the general public for the first time, since reporters are broadcasting the fight live all over. All For One then lands a real emotional gut punch. He reveals that Shigaraki is Nana Shimura's grandson, the previous One for All holder and All Might's predecessor. He breaks down, but musters the resolve to keep on fighting. People everywhere are cheering for their hero to keep on going. Some other heroes including Endeavor and Edgeshot rush to the scene to help out, and surprisingly, the number 2 hero helps motivate All Might. All for One then uses a crazy combination of quirks to create a mutant Giga Arm to end the fight, while revealing that he knows One for All was passed to Deku. All Might counters by putting his strength into his right arm to take the hit, and then switches it to the left to land a blow of his own. He then gathers everything he has remaining of One for All into his fist and launches his final attack, United States of Smash. He defeats All for One and raises his arm in victory. Later on, and pointing to the camera, he says, "It's your turn next." Deku realizes what this truly means. Once the dust settles, All Might officially retires and he and Aizawa travel to student homes to talk about having the students dorm at UA because of all the recent villain encounters. When All Might gets to Deku's house, his mom doesn't want her son to continue at UA because it doesn't seem safe. I can't really blame her. However, after All Might bows down and promises to look after Deku and raise him, she accepts. After settling into dorm life, Aizawa wants to prepare them for the Provisional Hero License exams, and so everyone needs to develop their own ultimate moves. Deku is struggling to come up with something because his arms are so messed up, and so develops his ultimate move of kicking. Fast forward to test day and Class 1A arrives. They are greeted by Inasa, an enthusiastic first year from Shiketsu High School, who turned down his acceptance to UA, and his friend who was interested in blood. The exam will be about speed. In a battle royale, the first 100 to knock out 2 opponents by hitting target spots with balls will pass the exam. And so it begins, and Class 1A sticks together as everyone else starts targeting them since they've already seen what their quirks are from the sports festival. A guy who looks like Buff Deku uses his quirk to break up Class 1A, while in the city terrain, Inasa uses his wind quirk to knock out 120 participants at once. So yeah, he passes. While alone, Deku starts thinking about stuff when the Shiketsu girl sneaks up on him and lands a hit. She gets a little too creepily intimate with him before other students jump in the mix. Then Ochako comes and gets targeted, so Deku saves her. But while they are hiding behind a wall, she slowly tries to land a hit on Deku. But he quickly slaps it away, realizing it's not actually Ochako. The body melts away into the girl from Shiketsu, Censored Naked Edition, when Tape Guy and the real Ochako come to help Deku. The weird girl does not like the interference and she escapes. With the help of Aoyama's naval laser twinkling, the rest of Class 1A regroups and is able to advance. But there's another phase to the exam, which is a rescue operation in a disaster zone. Despite some initial hiccups due to inexperience with rescuing, it goes well for the most part and everyone advances. Except Bakugo, who was acting like a dick to the rescuees, and also Shoto, who got hindered by Inasa, but it's all good because those who failed the rescue part of the exam can still get provisional hero licenses by attending a 3-month-long remedial course. Elsewhere, it turns out that Shiketsu Girl was none other than Toga in disguise, and reveals to have gotten some of Deku's blood, meaning now she can transform to look like him. At UA, Bakugo puts it together that Deku must have gotten his quirk from All Might, and tells him to meet him outside to talk about it. Well, not for too long, because once Deku essentially confirms it, he wants to throw down. And throw down they do, as Bakugo is trying to process not just how All Might chose Deku over him, but also the guilt of feeling like he's the one that caused All Might's loss of power. It's an intense battle as Deku is not backing down either, and they go back and forth. His emotions raise his limit to 8%, allowing him to get a strong kick on Bakugo. They're about to collide in midair when Deku switches to a punch that seems decisive, until Bakugo grabs Deku, flips over, and uses an explosion to slam him to the ground. As Bakugo is victorious, All Might comes out and explains why he chose Deku. He also feels bad for not realizing Bakugo's feelings about his loss of power, and gives him a hug. That's sweet. As they walk back, All Might fills Bakugo in on all the details regarding the One for All secret, and now the two can finally be proper rivals. Organized crime has picked up after All Might's departure. The League of Villains are looking to recruit, and so he brings Overhaul to meet with Shigaraki. Back at UA, we meet the top 3 students of the school. They're supposed to talk about work studies, but number 1 Mirio wants to fight them all, aka Show Not Tell. And he does end up showing quite a bit thanks to his quirk, but also completely destroys almost the entire class. His quirk is Permeation, If he activates it through his entire body, he can phase through anything, including the ground, and is propelled out of it when he deactivates his quirk. It feels overpowered, but he reveals that while full body permeating, he can't breathe or sense anything, because everything passes through him. So he had to train like crazy and be a master of prediction to be at this level.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.